crawl through broken glass for their coaches, but won't do homework for their professors. And so if it helps call me Coach D, that works too. Okay, a lot of learning is about psychology. So anyway, welcome to Gen Chem 1411. It's the first semester, and we're gonna have a good time. So let's get going. So today we're gonna go over the syllabus, make sure that you understand how the course is gonna be organized, and then I'm gonna explain the Alex homework system, and we'll be set for success. Okay. So all my contact information is here at the top of the syllabus. The best way to get a hold of me and to schedule any kind of meetings or questions or what have you is through email. And it's real easy to remember. It's just my last name, Williams, at shsu.edu. So I was the first to jump on to the alias there for Williams. You can also call if it's kind of an emergency. Let's say you're on the way to an exam and there's been a crash on 45 or whatever. You can call my office number and leave me a message. Okay, so that's a good way to do that. And then the office hour times will be right after this class at 10 in my office. And so you can come up there if you have questions on the homework that weren't answered in class, then I can help you then. If you happen to have to leave, sometimes people have to get to, say, a campus job or something, but you could Zoom in, that's fine too. Just send me an email saying I need to get together on Zoom, and then we'll arrange a time. And then we can do a Zoom help session. So, you guys still remember how to do Zoom? Good, yeah, it's a good skill. We could use Teams too, whatever you want. Now, the lecture videos and tutorial videos and so on will be loaded to my YouTube page. And so that's here in the syllabus. You can see DW-Gen Chem is my channel. So you can find that. You can get all of those videos. You can see past semesters there too. Maybe I explained it a little differently in the past. And so that's a good place to go for help on some of the topics. Now there is something highlighted here about the lab. So I'm really in charge of the lecture. There's a bunch of different people teaching different sections of the lecture. Okay, so we each run our lectures slightly differently, tailored to how we like to teach the course. But the lab is managed by Dr. Hedwood. He's the one that's over all of the lab sections. So you have a separate lab syllabus that you'll get when you go to lab. It's going to be a couple of weeks before we start the lab because we got to get the TA work schedules all set. So that's why lab doesn't start right away. So when your lab starts, you go in, you'll meet your TA, and you'll get your lab syllabus. And any questions related to the lab, you need to go to your TA and talk to them about the syllabus if you have questions about that. So you'll go through the lab as if it's a separate course, and then you'll get a lab grade. There's a midterm and a final on the lab, and your work in the lab reports will be put together, and then you'll get a lab grade. Now, when we combined the lab and the lecture several years ago, there was a discussion on what to do if someone passes the lecture and fails the lab, or vice versa. Since you can't take the lab independently, if you fail the lab, you fail the course. Okay, so lab is really important. It's 20% of your grade. So whenever the end of the lab semester is done, Dr. H will send me your grade from the lab, and I'll multiply that by 0.2 and put it in your weighted average, and you'll get your overall grade. Yeah.
We actually received an email from Dr. Hedgewood saying labs start the first week.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Week. The dress code isn't enforced until the 3rd or the 4th week.
Oh, that's right. They do some prep. Yeah, okay. Thanks, man. You saved me a lot of headache because people will say, you told me. So that's great. So labs do start the first week. Look at your schedule, go to lab. And again, you don't necessarily have to have closed-toed shoes and long pants, but you're going to get started this week. So that's good information. Thank you. In terms of calculators, years ago, we had students showing up with calculators that hooked to computers through USB or whatever, or Bluetooth, and they were downloading all kinds of information, solubility rules, all kinds of things that you're being tested on. And that wasn't fair. Let's say you come to class with a regular old calculator and your neighbor has a USB stuffed with information calculator. And so in order to make it fair for all the students, we cut out all the calculators that can download information. So that's why we have the calculator rule. And so this TI-30 calculator is the one that we approve. It's just a scientific calculator. Do your homework with this calculator because you want to practice with the game ball, right? Don't use your TI 83 or whatever calculator and then you get to the test and you can't figure out how to use this one because it's just slightly different. So get this calculator. They're like $10. Do your homework with it so that you're good with it. So when you get to the test, you're still good with it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now there's two options for the textbook. I'm really conscious of the financial troubles of students, and so if this book is too expensive, let's say if you're in the Bearcat bundle, you paid your money, you'll get a rented copy of the Central Science by Brown and others, and that's fine. Use that book. If you opted out of the Bearcat bundle and you're still trying to struggle, with saving money, there is a free online textbook called OpenStax Chemistry, and so here's a link for you here, or you can just go on online and look up OpenStax Chemistry. Now, don't use the Adams First one because we're not starting that way. There's two versions of that. If you have questions, just email me on that. So there's a free textbook option. The nice thing about it is it's an online textbook, so it's searchable. So if you have a question about a particular concept, you can go onto that online book. Even if you have the other textbook for the course, you can go onto the online book, type in search terms, and you can find your information really quickly. Also, Alex, this is this homework system. Again, Bearcat Bundle will give you access to Alex, but if you opted out of the Bearcat Bundle, then it'll be $30. In a couple of weeks, your free subscription to Alex will run out, and you just have to buy it right through the Alex site. So it should be straightforward. If you have problems with that, reach out to me, and I'll help you get through that. Questions on the materials needed for class? Okay, so the course objectives, you've got the catalog entry there. I mean, we're going to do a lot of things. We're going to learn about matter, compounds, chemical reactions, but a lot of this course is doing the math, like figuring out how much propane I need to cook a steak. I mean, all the chemical reactions, the stoichiometry, all of those things, the math of chemistry is what we're starting to learn in this course. So it's pretty math intensive. And all of those things that you learn will be related to what you can do with the material. It's not a memorization course. It's a am I skilled enough to do the calculations course. So all of these things will be worked problems. So this whole course is about learning how to do the problems of chemistry. And I'll teach you the concepts behind those. But it's how can you sit down with pencil and paper and a calculator and do the math related to the chemicals that are involved. You'll learn about the chemical reactivity, but you'll also learn about how they react and the math behind it. It's not that difficult, but it does take practice. The lab objectives, again, you're going to use basic lab equipment, learn how to take measurements. You're going to apply the math that we learn in class in actual measurements with the lab. And so the lab work should be fun. I mean, you get to mess with real stuff, okay? Get the glassware and everything, so enjoy it, okay? Don't be influenced by toxic complainers, okay? And you've been around folks that just nothing's ever good, okay? Yes, of course, in life there's lots of things to complain about, but you also lots of things to be interested in and lots of things to be happy about. So stay positive and enjoy playing with the chemicals and the glassware. It's great. Now only do the stuff that you're supposed to do. Okay, so don't get in there and start doing things that you're not authorized to do. That's a quick way to get kicked out. Okay. So again, the lab work will feed into the course at 20% and see the syllabus for anything related to the lab. Okay, how will your grade be calculated? This is the weighting factors here for your grade. So I'm giving 5% for attendance, and that's just a simple like 5 points for coming to class. It's better when we learn face-to-face, I think, and when you interact with your student peers and when people ask questions and you're like, oh yeah, I had the same question too. It's better live, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And in terms of keeping track of all of that, It's just sign the roster. If you forget to sign the roster, well, then you just didn't get the points for that day. Okay, it's not a huge deal because it's 1/5 of 1/20th of your grade. Okay, so it's very small. Okay, so this is the weighted average. So your homework average, let's say you had perfect attendance, that'll be multiplied by 0.05, and that's part of your weighted average. That's your 5% associated with the attendance grade. Homework is 35%. That's pretty big. Okay, a lot of times homework's 10%, 15%. What am I doing with that big old 35%? You're going to be doing a lot of work on your own, and I want you to have some benefit for that. So all of this work you do on the computer is a huge chunk of your grade. So whenever you're at home and you're like, oh my gosh, this Alex thing's driving me crazy. These problems won't quit, right? Just realize it's worth it because that's a huge chunk of your grade. So take it seriously, put the effort in. That's really where you're going to learn chemistry, is doing these problems. 40% is the exam, and then 20% is the lab. So attendance, homework or Alex activities, exams, and then the lab. There's 4 exams, so 3 in the middle of the term, and then the final. The final will be comprehensive, but it'll have that last fourth of the course, and then the rest of the course. So it'll have kind of 2 parts to the final exam. Questions on the weighted average? Can y'all see that in the back? Is it okay? All right. Okay, so let's talk about the attendance score. The way you get this is you just sign the roster, every class period. Don't be dishonest. Don't sign for someone else, okay? It's not worth your reputation for 1 attendance point. You do get 3 free absences, okay? So we don't need doctor's notes or anything like that. So here, here's your score. It's about 38 lectures that you can sign up for. And so the point is, let's say you miss 5, you still get like a 95 on the attendance. So it's such a small difference in terms. It's like 3/1000ths of your weighted average. So you can read on the syllabus this thing. So it's not worth your time or my time to mess with a bunch of paperwork. So if you miss class or you forgot to sign, just don't freak out. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm really trying to find the student that disappears in October. Okay, and it goes 3 weeks, no signatures. I'm going to try to find that student because something is happening, right? They're not at all coming to class. Okay, and so that's really why I'm doing attendance. Yeah, I'll give you 5 points, but I also want to find the student that's checked out and there may be an issue. Maybe they're having a tough time. So I'm using it as a safety net. I'm not using it to try to keep track of you all the time. So I don't need any paperwork. I don't want any paperwork for this amount of points. It's not worth it. Okay. So in terms of the homework, there's 2 parts to Alex. This may not make any sense until you use it, but you've got these modules that you go through and you learn the material and you complete the problems and so on. And it builds out this thing called a pie. So the makers of Alex have built this pie with all the different concepts in it, and it'll get bigger and bigger as you learn different concepts. Okay? And so that's 60% of your Alex grade. And then a couple of times in the semester, I have these things called knowledge checks, where it goes back and sees if you retain the information that you've already gained. So it'll go back a week or 2 and grab problems that you've already done and test you on those again. And that sort of recall or whatever, that's 40% of your grade. It's all handled on Alex's side. And so you can always check on Alex to see how you're doing in terms of grades. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Now, cheating and its consequences. Alex kind of keeps track of how you're learning. And so occasionally there'll be a student that's kind of struggling and they get behind, and then all of a sudden they'll make perfect scores and clear out like 6 different topics in one day. And that's what they call unusual learning. Right? And it's typically, since it's on computer, they've had a friend come in and just do the quick things for them. And so the way I catch that is I just call you up, we have a meeting, and I ask you about some of the concepts that you learned so quickly. If you can explain them to me, no problem. good job. You just had a burst of energy and you got a lot done. But I will check in if you're struggling and all of a sudden you get like perfect scores on 7 assignments. I'm gonna give you a call. So the point is, do your own work. Okay, even if you get a little behind, do your own work, and that's the best way to learn. Okay. Now there's other disclaimers. Again, we have the services for students with disabilities. We have all kinds of things that you need to be aware of. Okay. So that's the syllabus. Anything before I go on the syllabus that raised a question? What can I explain better?
Our tests are going to be in person, right?
Yeah, all our tests are in person. Yes, that's right. And it's kind of crowded in here. So what I'll do is I'll have like version A, B, A, B, A, B, just so I don't have to sit here and watch you like a hawk, and you're looking over there. So you'll have different versions by column here. But so the number one answer on your test, the most important, is which version you have. So you fill out the Scantron, you put your name, and you put version A. It's down at the bottom of the test, or version B. And then I know which key to use, because it scrambles them up pretty good. And if you get the wrong key, then like 100 would turn into a 50. So that's not great. You had some? Yeah.
What's Scantron?
Oh yeah, it's that 882E. It's this one. So the 50 question Scantron, I like to get the questions up to about between 25 and 30 questions. So I want them to be like 3 or 4 points apiece. So I try to aim for 33 questions. So then there are 3 points apiece. But I might that's what I typically do. Then for the final, I bump it up to 50 just so they're 2 points apiece, and I can ask more stuff. So this is great because then I can have the grades back to you right away. And I never liked it as a student, not knowing where I stood in the course. So after every exam on Blackboard, you'll have a letter grade. It'll say you have a C, you have a B, you have an A, you have a D or an F. And that way oh, dang, I've got an F. I didn't know I was doing that poorly. And so then you have time to light a fire under yourself, right? But it's a lot of times you just get a number, like when I was taking organic chemistry, I never made more than 30% on any exam. I was getting like 30, 28s out of 100. I'm like, what the heck? I am failing this course so hard. And I went and talked to the professor, and he says, oh, you're doing fine. I said, what? He said, you have a B. And I said, how is it that I haven't even made 30% on an exam and I got a B? He said, well, I ask everything. If I even mention it in class, I ask everything. And he said, nobody finishes my tests. I was like, oh, man. That's why I haven't finished the test. Nobody finishes the test. So, but he didn't give letter grades. And if he'd have given letter grades, I would have felt better. Of course, I don't know, maybe I would have relaxed and it would have been bad. But I like you to have a letter grade after every exam so that you know where you stand in the course. So it'll be updated. Other syllabus questions? Yes. Okay, so this is how the course will be managed on Blackboard. This is what it should look like. You'll always have a syllabus here that you can go check. If you have any questions, you have the whole semester schedule. So this is really nice. On there, if you click it, it will have all of the exam dates. It'll have all of the homework due, the items that are due on the homework. It has roughly every topic we're going to talk on and every day that we're going to talk on it. So I have every lecture set up, every homework set up, everything on this schedule. So that's under the schedule link right there. Okay. And then we have a weekly folder. So each week has a folder. So whatever week. And on the schedule, it has the week numbers here. So you can look at the calendar and you say, okay, we're in week 5. So I go down to the week 5 folder. And everything you need to do that week is in that folder. So that way you can walk yourself through the semester and you can know where you stand. Okay. So this is part 1, chapters 1 and 2 will be the first exam. We're going to start out doing some math related to dimensional analysis and converting units, things like that. We're going to talk about how we measure uncertainty in the lab. We talk about significant figures and precision and accuracy, absolute error, relative error. Then we get into the chemical units like the mole. What is a mole of a substance and natural abundance? the periodic table, we talk about isotopes, and then we start talking about naming of compounds. And so the first exam has a lot of naming on it and a fair bit of math of converting this unit to that unit, pounds to kilograms and cubic centimeters to liters and all of that. So we're going to have a lot of problems in ALEX related to unit conversions and things about the periodic table, and then practicing naming compounds. Okay. The second exam will be where we really get into the meat of the chemical compositions and calculations. So we'll have a chemical reaction, and we'll be able to calculate how much reactant do I need to produce this much product, or if I'm going to run out of a reactant, and it's called a limiting reactant problem. So we're going to get into all of that. It's called stoichiometry. So it's the math related to chemistry. That's this middle section. We're going to talk about redox reactions and titrations, and then that's going to be the tough exam because those problems are pretty long. So we're going to ramp up to this middle piece, and it gets pretty tough. Then chapters 5, 6, and 7. Chapter 5 is just a quick bounce into thermochemistry. We have a whole course taught in thermodynamics. I teach that. It's like a junior, senior level course. And so we just hit a little bit of it in this course, and then you have a whole course in it if you're a chemistry major. And then we get into energy and spectroscopy and the electron cloud. So really understanding the electron cloud helps us understand the chemistry. So we get into that in exam 3. And then exam 4, we get into the shapes of molecules. So we'll start to draw Lewis dot structures. We'll start to think about the 3D shapes of molecules and how that figures into their chemistry. So that's the 4th exam. And we'll just take that material and combine it with the rest of the material and have one comprehensive final at the end. So that'll be our 4th exam. Go in here, the dates are all here, like December 11th or November 8th, and start using either Google Calendar or Outlook. So put these dates in there and set a reminder for the exam a week ahead of time. So you're cruising along in a regular old week, and this reminder pops up on your phone and says, you have an exam in 1 week. Okay, that's a good thing. Let the computer interrupt you. A lot of students will have the paper, calendar, book that they have all their exams and study, and that's fine if you're going to use that, but you got to check it frequently. It doesn't interrupt you. Whereas an electronic calendar, Google Calendar, Outlook will interrupt you. You're watching a TikTok and all of a sudden, boop, what's this interruption? Clear that notification and you see you got an exam in a week. Maybe you shouldn't be doing the TikTok. Maybe you start studying for the exam. So use electronic means to help you because it'll interrupt you. Here's how it's managed on Blackboard. We have each week has a folder. It'll have the class notes, which will be a PDF that you can download and mark up. And then it will have the ALEX modules. And these will send you to ALEX. Now, this very first day, we have open an ALEX review module. So go do that one right now. It's going to give you an assessment as to how much of your math skills that you learned, and it'll help me know if you're starting out ready for success, or if you need to dig yourself out of a math hole in terms of understanding before you can actually address the chemistry. I like to say if A over B times B over C, if you can't remember that the B's cancel, you're going to hate this course. But it's not because you hate chemistry, it's because you don't remember that. Okay, so this review module is going to walk you through some of these basic things and just help me to gauge. Because again, the more I know about your strengths and weaknesses, the better I can help you get through the course. Okay, so go do that right away. I'm going to check by Wednesday to see who's done it. And I'm going to be worried about those students who haven't done it yet. Okay, so it might take you an hour, but go ahead and do that. Find a time between now and Wednesday morning to take that review module. And I like to say A's are made on the first day. Because a lot of students don't do anything today. If you jump on it and get ahead, that's the way to do it. Yeah, you're already in the lead. It's funny, like the academic track meet, in a track meet, they fire the gun and everybody takes off. But I've noticed with students on the first day of class, they fire the gun and everybody's just like, kind of like, well, we don't do anything on the first day. Around the third day, they start running. So start when the gun fires, and it's fired right now. Okay, so this is what Alex looks like. You get some simple problems, like this little math problem is supposed to simplify the fraction and so on. And so you can look at this and you can say, okay, I'm gonna get in here and I'm just gonna take this. This is a divide, so I'm gonna swap this fraction up over, so it's gonna be the same as times 6/7. Okay, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, 6 is divisible by 2, so I'm gonna make that a 3, and I'm gonna make that a 4. Okay, and the negatives cancel. Okay, so I'm gonna cancel that negative. And so I've got 15/28. And so then I can select this and dump it over there, and it'll show up like this. And I type in 15 on the top and 28 on the bottom. Okay, and so that's what you're doing in Alex. But notice how I was able to do it on the screen. I want you to get a composition notebook and do all the math in a composition notebook so that you can look back at previous pages. Because Alex is going to test you again in 4 or 5 days on one of those previous problems. So if you're just trying to do this with your calculator, you have no work and no memory. So do this in a composition notebook. They're $1 over at the bookstore, maybe 2. And then you have a record of all the math that you've done. And when you're doing the review assignments, you can go back and look and say, oh, it's the same problem with just different numbers. Okay, so that is a pro tip. Just because the homework assignment's on the computer doesn't mean you can't use pencil and paper. So you really should have a pencil and paper and calculator, do the problems in that notebook. There's also some things on Alex over here on the right that in fact there's a periodic table and there's some data buttons and so on. So, and then you have this explanation down here at the bottom. So if you come down here and you hit this explanation button, it doesn't give you credit for that particular problem, but it will explain what Alex is expecting. Okay, so if you hit that button there, like on this one, you're supposed to do the names and symbols of important elements. So you look at mercury, and you're like trying to figure out what mercury is on the periodic table, and it's Hg. So you go and you type a capital H and a lowercase g. You got that right. Okay. But if you're just totally confused as to what this problem is asking, you can burn one of your explanations and not get points for this by hitting the explanation button. And then you get all this explanation. It's got common elements and so on. It's explaining what you need to do for this problem. So this is how you will learn with Alex, because some of these problems are pretty advanced and I would say pretty interesting. And so you may have to click on Alex's explanation to see what Alex is expecting from you. Okay. And then here's your Alex Pie. So you start out with a little small thing after you do your initial assessment this week, and then you'll start to grow out those wedges, and you'll sort of be a visual representation of your knowledge in chemistry that's growing. Okay. And so you can, if it's up to you, but if you're a social media user, you can share your pie progress using this hashtag #MyAlexPie. And you can see people have done that. They're like on Twitter or whatever, like, look, I'm learning a lot. It's kind of a funny thing. So you'll see people all over the world sharing their Alex Pie. Okay. Now from the syllabus, we see there's 4 in-class exams. It's 3 plus the final. So what do you need for the exams? I provide the exam, but you bring a Scantron. So this is the Scantron that you'll use. This one here we talked about. Bring some pencils. I'd say bring a couple. And then an eraser, whatever kind you prefer, and then your TI-30 calculator. So that's what you have for the exam, and it'll be straightforward. And then I also need you to bring some excitement, okay? It's going to be really hard to learn this material if you're just looking for a grade, okay? If you're just looking for, success in college or a future job. I mean, those are all laudable goals, but that's not going to help you learn chemistry. You've got to actually bring some excitement about chemistry. I'm going to do my best up front to try to get you excited about it. But there's got to be something about the chemical world that you think is cool, or it won't stick. Now, it's kind of hard to get excited about the math, but if you think about what you can do with the math of chemistry, is you can tell, here's an example. My daughter, when she was in elementary school, her teacher told us we have to stop burning fossil fuels. How many have heard that? Okay. You know what her reason was? Because we're going to run out of oxygen. Can you prove that right or wrong? After this course, you can. The math associated with that question is easy, okay? But that's what I'm trying to teach you. You could prove that teacher is completely ridiculously wrong, okay? And we're not going to run out of oxygen. There may be other reasons to stop burning fossil fuels, but it is not because we're going to run out of oxygen. And that is the actual math that we're trying. Now, that's cool. You will have that skill after this class, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Bring that excitement that says, okay, I'm learning some really interesting things. And believe me, it's applicable. The world needs people that can do those problems. Okay. The bad pill is I just want a grade. That's not going to help you at all. Okay. Now, trying to find some excitement about chemistry will really help. I mean, think of the things. Look at all these names on the back of this fertilizer. We've got molybdenum and zinc and potassium nitrate, potassium phosphate. You're going to learn about all of those names so that you can read the back of a label. That's pretty cool. Okay? When you look at the back of the shampoo bottle in the shower, you're going to know what all of those chemicals are. Maybe not all of them, but I don't even know all of them. But you'll have a good idea of what those names mean. You'll be able to calculate, can we run out of oxygen if we keep burning fossil fuels? Okay? You'll learn about light and why it makes a rainbow when it goes through a prism or a raindrop. So you'll learn all of these interesting things. So bring your interest, bring your curiosity. And then where are you and where will you go? If you're over in the won't column, we got troubles. Okay? So I need to at least get you to the will column. I will try, I will bring my interest, I will do my best. And then I will try to get you out of the can't box and into the can box. So we got to get you out of the won't column and into the will, and then I'll get you up into the can. Okay? But a lot of that's going to depend on you too and Alex. So bringing sincere effort, not waiting till the last minute to try to do the homeworks and so on. So staying on it will help you get out of can't and into can. So what questions do you guys have? Anything about the course material, the chemistry? Yes.
You said we gotta bring our own Scantron. Where can we visit?
Yeah, so I don't know, they have like 5 packs or 10 packs over at the bookstore, so you can get one for the whole semester. Try to keep them as flat as possible. I get some that have been kicking around the bottom of a pickup truck, and they're like, all wadded up, and I'm trying to feed them into the machine. Try to keep them as, they don't have to be perfect. Like that'll still go in, but when they get really dog-eared on the end, it's almost useless. Yes?
I know they give out one free Scantron at the bag at the building.
Uh-huh.
Still.
Okay.
Go to the drugstore, buy the post office, and Subway, they give you 3 free Scantrons a week.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So go by a couple of weeks and you got enough for the whole course. Yeah, that's good. Good. Pro tip.
The syllabus will tell us what Scantron we are.
Yes. Yeah. It's I'll write it on here. So it's A82E is the Scantron. Yeah. And but it's got 50 questions on the front, 50 on the back. Maybe for the final we'll use all 50, but it's just nice, good size. All right, so we got lots of time, so I want to get all the questions answered. If you're one of those people that are like, I don't want to ask my question, I'll answer it later, that really pisses me off. Okay, because everybody can benefit from your question. So don't wait till the end. You're going to see my face. It's not going to be a good one. Yes.
What happens if, because I've done Alex before, but sometimes the answers
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't experienced that very much. And so, yeah, just let me know if you get something. Yeah, I'll reach out to the Alex people too, and I'll say, hey, you know, this looks like it's not a right answer. So the way Alex works is it's not just testing you on did you get it right one time. You have to get it right a couple of times for you to be classified as having mastered that topic. And so you go through the problems, you get 2 or 3 of the same kind of problem, different numbers, different elements, and so on. And so that's why you really want to keep a notebook. Right? Is that you've done, Alex? Is that good advice? If you do it in a notebook, then you can go back and say, oh, how did I do this last time? And then you'll go do like the next topic, and then it'll throw in one of those old questions because it's wanting to test you on retention. Your number one problem, I don't even have to meet you. Your number one problem is retention. Remembering what you did last week or last semester or in high school. You don't remember it, and that's your number one problem. So Alex is trying to help you with that by asking you an old question from a couple of days ago. Okay, so working on your retention, try to keep notes, try to strengthen your retention the best you can. Okay. So that's good. How about in the back? What questions do you have? Yes.
What are your office hours?
They should, let's see, I have them on Blackboard. I think I have them scheduled right after this course, so 10 to 11. I don't know if it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, though, but certainly Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 11. Yeah. And then if that doesn't work because you have class, then we can just arrange another time to meet through email. Okay. And it'd be great if you got to learn how to use the scheduling apps like Outlook or Google, where you can send a meeting request. So instead of just going back and forth by email, you could say, hey, send DW, you know, put in my email a meeting request using the app for, say, 2 o'clock on a Thursday, right? And then I'll look at my calendar and I can accept it if it's good. And now it's on both our calendars automatically. Or I can reject it with the proposed time. And I'll say about 3 o'clock. And then if you accept it, it's on both our calendars. It's a really efficient way to schedule things and to request meetings, and it's a skill you're going to need when you graduate. So if you get used to using this kind of calendar app, that's a life skill in the business place. I mean, you're going to be ahead of your peers knowing how to schedule meeting requests and so on. I saw another hand over here. Yes.
So what was the application that you were saying to set up that email request?
Outlook. And so if you go on to check your mail, let me just show you. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. So we're going to go display capture. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to Google Chrome and kill this. Why is it taking so long? That's not good. That's my browser window. Okay, there it is. All right, so if we go, Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that this gets on the video so that if you miss class, then you'll be able to see it. There we go. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to SHSU. Over here. Campus tools, email. So this is a way to check your email, your Outlook email. So the email program that we use at the university is Outlook, okay? course. So secure. I always feel nervous when I get that because it's timed. Okay, so we're logging in. Okay, stay signed in, sure, whatever. Okay, so this is Outlook, and you can see all my emails. Don't look at my emails. Okay, so then over here, see this calendar on the left? You click on that. And you can put all of your exams in here using that calendar tool. Okay? And you can come in here, see I go to the gym, I have office hours and everything like that. And so, let's see. Go away. Okay, so if I click on this and I want to set up, let's edit it. Let's just do this event. Look here, this reminder. I can put a whole week before. So I can put my exam in there and I can give it a reminder a week ahead. That's really cool. So then, when I'm distracted and I'm goofing off, and all of a sudden, my calendar says, hey, wake up, you got an exam in a week. You need to start studying. So you can set these things up. You can also come up here and you can request a meeting somehow. I'm not so sure how to do it on the web version, but...
You put new event, and then it goes, you can add an attendee.
Oh yeah, there we go. Here it is. Yeah, so I can add a title. Help session. Let's see. Invite required attendees, right? And so then I can, like if this is on your calendar, then you would invite me, williams@shsu.edu, and it will send an invitation to me. And if it fits in my calendar and yours, I hit yes, then it's ready to go. And then my phone will interrupt me when I'm goofing off and say, hey, you got a student that wants to talk in 15 minutes, get back to your office or get set up on Zoom or whatever it is. So that way we both get electronic reminders. This is the way to go, okay? Your paper day timer is not gonna do that, okay? It's gonna be sitting on your shelf or in your backpack, and it's not gonna alert you, it's not gonna interrupt you, it's not gonna give you notifications. So it really is helpful to do it on the software that the university's paying for, you know, and if you learn how to use this when you go into business, hey, you've been doing this for 4 years or more, it'll be second nature, and you'll definitely have a leg up on the other people. So you put on your resume, you know, proficient with Outlook and meeting schedules and all of that, and when they're looking through, they're like, oh, I want to talk to this candidate because they know how to work in a business environment. So that's fun. All right, last question or two. In the back? Anything? Okay. So today, go do that Alex assessment. Okay, it's a review assessment. It'll catch you, like it'll check your math skills and all of that in basic chemistry. Yes?
In the Blackboard, the syllabus, the link underneath the syllabus is the class schedule. It's not the actual syllabus.
It should be the class schedule, but it's a syllabus?
No, like under the syllabus tab on Blackboard,
Yeah.
it's not the syllabus, it's the class schedule.
Oh, I looked at that. Okay, I'll check into it, yeah. I was making some changes and maybe I uploaded the wrong document. Thanks.